mandatory minimum sentences, the three-strike policy, mass incarceration. These buzzwords have been thrown around by many politicians, especially by those running for president in 2016.
And we need major reforms in a broken criminal justice system in which we have more people in jail than China.
But what do these words mean, and how do we fix the so-called broken criminal justice system? When Senator Sanders mentioned the high rate of incarceration, he was talking about mass incarceration. He was talking about the 1.5 million prisoners in the U.S. state and federal prison systems, with an imprisonment rate that is 5 times greater than it was 45 years ago. It is the biggest prison population in U.S. and world history. Mandatory minimum sentences keep this population growing. These federal sentences are the shortest time a judge can give a defendant to serve. They're usually given to drug offenders. For example, a first nonviolent drug offense involving a little over 2 pounds of heroin requires a minimum of 10 years in prison. That's the same sentence that applies to sex trafficking children over the age of 14. The three strikes policy imposes a mandatory minimum sentence of life for committing a third violent or serious felony, typically involving drugs. To give an idea of how this affects the average taxpayer, the annual cost of the average federal inmate is $27,549. So while a report released last month cited the prison population decreased by 1%, the largest in 35 years, the U.S. is still facing an overpopulated and expensive prison system. So what is being done to fix the problem? A lot, or at least a lot to cut spending. Republican Representative Bobby Scott of Virginia and Senator Mike Lee of Utah have each introduced bills that would minimize the federal prison population and reduce mandatory minimum sentences. But in reality, states hold most prisoners. Some 30-plus states have reached out to research-based groups. The groups help make data-driven policies that will cut spending and put those savings back into programs and communities to lower recidivism. This is done through the initiative called JRI, or the Justice Reinvestment Initiative. It can work for states like Louisiana, which reduced its imprisonment rate by 5% since 2007. But for others, it has not been so successful. Arizona, which adopted JRI in 2007, repealed the law due to budget and political pressures, and since 2007, Arizona has had a 7% increase in imprisonment rate. In contrast, New York, New Jersey, and California have developed their own policies. Each has reduced imprisonment rates over 8 years. California specifically reduced its imprisonment rate by 25% since 2007 and created 85 new policy reforms since 2010. This data shows that while policymakers are working to mend a broken justice system, there is still more work to be done. Something to keep an eye out for during the 2016 presidential campaign.